Hello everyone, it is Chase Chappell and we're in week 4, module 2, linear scaling. And here's what we're going to be covering today. We're going to be covering the linear scaling methods. And the first method is multiplying your campaign level or your ad set level daily spend by 5 to 10 times. And then the second one is increasing your campaign or ad spend daily budget once daily by 10 to 15%. So here's where we are now. You should have already completed phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3, and you should now be in the scaling phase. You should have ideally 1 to 3 high-performing ads in each of your ad sets. And in the linear scaling methods, really what linear scaling is basically we use linear scaling when we want to increase the amount of results we get from a campaign/audience that is performing great. Linear scaling is best used when consistent results and low cost per results are present. And the methods to use are multiplying your ad spend by 5 to 10 times the amount, and then increasing ad spend by 10 to 15% daily. Both of these methods are extremely effective. And the first one is multiplying your ad spend by 5 to 10 times KPI. And KPI is just key performance indicator. It basically just means, as long as you're within a good cost per result, your best one out of all your ad sets, then that is the one you're going to multiply. So scaling 5 to 10 times KPI best performs when executed on our top performing campaign/ad set. So out of all of your ad sets and your campaigns, you're going to look for the one that has the highest amount of results for the lowest cost, basically your best performing one. And then if you're ready to scale, one way to do it would be to increase the daily spend on it by 5 to 10 times your original amount. So if you're at $5 daily, you could do 10 times the amount daily spend, and that would be $50 daily. And we scale 5 to 10 times our daily spend on our best performing campaign/ad set to rapidly increase results and extract as many results out of the audience we can. And how we do it is we basically duplicate our best performing campaign/ad set and increase that daily spend by 5 to 10 times. And the parameters on this is when you're doing this on a cold audience, we shouldn't exceed, for every $10 we spend daily, we should have more than 10,000 people in that given audience. So if your audience has 60,000 people in it, you should be spending no more than $60 daily on it. If your audience is big enough to handle 5 to 10 times the amount of ad spend, do it. And if your audience is not big enough, combine winning audiences into one new audience and use that. So ideally, you're going to want your audience size to be closer to 1 million when scaling up your amount daily spend. And the reason is because, as you're increasing, you're going to be reaching a lot more people because you're spending more and you'll be reaching more people. In order to ensure you keep low cost per results with this method, you need your best performing ad inside that ad set and campaign. And then you're also going to need to make sure that the audience is big enough to handle that amount of increase in the spending. And if you take it from $10 daily to $100 daily, you need to ensure that the audience size is large enough so that way you don't run out of people to reach. And the main purpose of this is to extract as many results out of the audience as possible. We take the audience to its limits at giving low cost per result at a way higher volume. So basically, we expedite the process by extracting as many results for a low cost we can out of this audience before turning it off and moving to the next one. This really allows us to increase our results significantly in one given month. And the expected success timeline for this is results become more prominent after 4 to 7 days and are reported to have the best success within 30 days of running. And campaign results have been reported to last up to 90 days at max daily spend on results. And these audiences in the campaign tend to be fully extracted after around 90 to 120 days and then usually start to decline on results. And so, within those 30 days, you're going to see probably your best results because you're going to be spending way more. You're going to be getting way more results at a way higher volume. But, over time, when you're spending, 10 times the amount on that audience, you're going to start extracting a lot more results and, end up exhausting that audience's potential very early on. So typically it lasts around, there's instances where it goes out 90 days, but if your daily spend is multiplied high enough, like if you had a $50 daily and then you did 10 times KPI at $500 daily, you're likely going to extract all your results within the 30 days, which is not bad because you're going to get a ton more results. But over time, you're going to have to continue to make sure you have audiences to scale. And here's an example of how to use the multiply ad spend 5 to 10 times KPI method. Here's an example of one of our clients, and he had exactly a about a $40 cost per result, and that's perfect for him because he's getting a huge return on ad spend for every result he gets at $40. So that's like perfect within that number. He's actually wanting to stay at around the $40 mark, and he could go as high as spending upwards of $1,000 per submission. But with getting this $40 per submission, it's outstanding for him. And he's at $30 daily, and ended up using the 5 to 10 times KPI method and ended up duplicating it. And the daily budget is $30 right now, and he's at a $40 cost per result, duplicated it, and scaled it up by 10 times. So 30 times 10 scaled him up to $300 daily spend. And you'll notice here that the cost per result really only went up about $3. And not only that, when he duplicated this, he also had his 30 ads that are recommended to have in each ad set, and he had his 1 to 3 best performing ads when he duplicated this. So please keep that in mind when you duplicate. You don't want to duplicate when you have all 30 active ads. You want your 1 to 3 best performing ads turned on when you duplicate, and the rest of those should be turned off. And duplicated at 10 times KPI, and only saw a rise in cost by 9.75%. Most people who increase their daily spend just by $5 or $10 daily will see a huge jump in their cost per result because they are having trouble with figuring out how to scale. But with this method, rather than doubling his cost just by only raising it a few dollars, he ended up scaling it up 10 times the amount and only raised his cost per result by $9%, sorry. Only raised by 9%. It was an increase of $3. And that's little to nothing when you go from $30 daily to $300 daily. Paying $3 is not a big increase at all. And so the second method is increasing ad spend at 10 to 15% daily. Before we jump into this, I'm actually going to show you a breakdown of how you can scale up by 10 to 15%, 15 times KPI. So what you would end up doing is you would go into your ad account, select a campaign, and find your best performing ad set. And let's say that this ad set specifically, our schedule 30-day lookalike audience, is our best performing, and we're at $10 daily, and we want to scale it up by 10 times the amount, rather than just clicking here and going to 100, which would end up resetting our learning phase and can completely throw off our results. We would just end up duplicating into the existing campaign, the same one. We'd hit duplicate, and we'd end up changing our daily spend to 10 times the amount. So in this case, we're going to do 10 times, so 100 would be the daily budget. And we will go ahead and title this 100 daily, so that way we can monitor this and see how it performs. And then we'd scroll down, and we wouldn't change anything else about this, and we'd simply hit publish. And then once that's published, you'll see that we now have our best performing ad set duplicated at 10 times KPI at $100 daily. And that is actually how you end up using that method. And then you would monitor it for 47 days to see if the results are similar in the cost. And if so, then you should see a significant increase in the amount of volume you have. And so the next method is the increase ad spend at 10 to 15% daily. And this method is really effective at consistently scaling without resetting the learning phase, and has consistently performed over very long periods of time. And the best way to scale consistently without resetting that algorithm learning phase is to increase campaign/ad set ad spend by 10 to 15% daily. So every single day, you would end up increasing by either 10 to 15% daily. And what it is how we do it is we adjust our top performing campaign/ad set daily spend, and we would increase it by 10 to 15% if it is within KPI. So as long as we're remaining within, the cost per result we want and the amount of results we want, we would just continue increasing it. And the parameters are, on a cold audience, we shouldn't exceed the $10 per 10,000 people in a given audience. And we must do 10 to 15% in order to not reset that learning phase. And then we would continue to increase daily using a 48-hour look back period. And what that means is basically, as long as your results are where you want them within 48 hours, so every 48 hours you would set the time frame, you would check your time frame for the past 48 hours and say, okay, I want my cost per result to always be under $5. And if it is, in those 48 hours, if it is under $5, you would increase your daily spend by 15%. And what this does is it makes sure that you'll get even more results at the same cost. Since it's not a significant increase in your spending, the algorithm is able to get you those more results without having to learn how to do it, which really keeps your costs significantly low and very stable, and it allows you to sneak up to super large daily spends over time without increasing your actual cost per result significantly. And this is an amazing strategy used over the long term. And we will keep increasing once daily until we start to see our results decline. Then we would downscale by 10 to 15% and remain at that max daily spend that keeps our results consistent. So basically, we would continue to increase every day until we would see a jump in our cost. So if, we're staying under $5 daily on our cost per result, and we continue to increase our daily spend limit until, we see our cost per result rise above $5. We would then scale back the moment it passed our threshold. So as soon as it cost us more than $5 to get a result, we would end up scaling back by 10 to 15%. Because that basically tells us that we hit the max potential limit for our audience. And it allows us to find the sweet spot on spending without spiking our cost per result. And the main purpose of it is to basically find out what the max daily spend is our audience can handle while providing us low cost per results and consistent results. And the expected success timeline is results tend to remain consistent until you encounter pushback on your results. Results have been reported to have success on day 2 and continue to have success until pushback. What's really nice about this method is you can directly see the results within a day or two because you're increasing by only 10 to 15%. You're not resetting the learning phase. So you're actually able to see a direct result right after. And here's an example of what this looks like. Increasing ad spend at 10 to 15% daily. This is a student of ours in the program, and he started at daily spend at $5 daily on all of these. These were all at $5 daily. He used the breakdown in our system for the lookalikes, using, going through each step of his funnel and building out that lookalike. And he used the control audience. In his case, it's men only, because he found out that his audience is 100% men. And you can see that at the $5 daily, before this, he was getting around $2.51 at the $5 daily. And now he's at $14 daily on most of these and $10.59 daily on this one. And he's still at around these numbers. And so it's allowing him to maintain his cost per result while increasing his daily ad spend. So he went from $5 daily to slowly creeping up to these numbers and will continue to scale while keeping his costs down. And this one right here, the one that's not at 14, basically he kept scaling and all of these remained within his KPI. So in this case, it's for him to stay under $3 is what he wants for his cost per result. And all of these are at 14 and are continuing to scale because he's below the $3. But this one right here, you'll notice went over by 1 cent. So that's telling him that, him raising it to 14 made his costs go up. So in order to prevent that, he knows that he's hitting a threshold. So he's scaling back by 10 to 15% daily only on this ad set to bring his costs back down. And then he'll leave it at whatever daily spend that it requires him to stay under $3. So you'll also notice he has 30 ads in each of his ad sets as well. So during our system, it's best recommended to have your 30 ads, and then you find your 1 to 3 high best performing ones. And those 1 to 3, you'll end up using in the scaling phase. And that's exactly what he did, and you can see a direct result from that. And he's getting consistent results with little to no cost fluctuation during scaling. So as his ad spend continues to increase daily, he's not even raising his cost by really anything at all. It's pennies at the most you would see an increase. And here's a prime example over the time of him doing this. So this is his cost per result average of $2.47. And you can see the line is extremely straight. It's almost flat in terms of, his cost. This blue line is his cost per result. And there's little to no fluctuation during his scaling. So as this is a super straight line, he's actually increasing his spend. His spend is going up like this, but his cost per result is remaining the same because he's able to bypass the reset of the algorithm, which is really efficient and nice. And that allows you to remain super consistent and find your best performing audience and scale it over time. And here's what we covered today. And I'm also going to show you how to do your 10 to 15% daily. So what you would do is you would basically, find the audience ad sets that you would want to increase your daily spend on. And let's say we want to do these 4. And how we would do it is we would simply press this drop down. And all of these must have good results. You don't want to scale shitty results, because if you do, you'll get bad results when you scale. And if you end up scaling and you start to see a huge increase, that just likely means you haven't found your best performing ad yet. So how we do this is we click on budget, you'll click the drop down, you'll click budget, and then you'll press this check mark here, and it selects all of your ad sets that you want to increase. And rather than having to do the math yourself, you simply press this drop down, increase daily spend, and you can do 15%. And then it increases it automatically for you by 15%. You'll notice it's really only going from 40 to 46. It's only a $6 increase. And then you'd end up hitting publish. And then what ends up happening is over time, that 15% ends up getting pretty large. So, 15% on 100 would be $15 increase. And that starts to add up fast as you get in bigger spending limits. So you would continue to do that. And let's say, maybe your cost per results are now rising significantly. And you notice that, maybe you're hitting your max threshold with this audience on daily spend. You would come back, press the budget, select whichever ad sets that were having a spike in your cost and lowered your results. And you'd come back and you would say, decrease daily budget by 15%. And then you would publish it and you would end up going backwards and finding out where to stay with your daily spend in order to get maximum results. And so here's what we covered today. We covered the linear scaling methods, and the first one being multiplying your campaign ad set daily spend by 5 to 10 times KPI. So that's your number one best performing ad set. You would end up duplicating it and scaling it up by 5 to 10 times the amount on the daily spend. And then the second one is increasing your campaign or ad set level spend once daily by 10 to 15% to avoid algorithm learning phase reset, and allowing you to bypass that and being able to get the same or similar cost per result with little to no cost fluctuation. And this over time scales up linearly, allowing you to get the best results for the best costs until you hit that max threshold point. So I hope you enjoyed this video today, and I will see you on the next module.